Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today we're going to go over the tones for the song "O Holy Night" by the McClures. This one is a standard arrangement, but they did add a bridge, which gives it a modern twist, and it's a lot of fun to play. For the cover video, I used my pedal board with the HX Stomp, and I had that loaded with a dual amp setup with the deluxe reverb on one side and an AC30 on the other. I love that pairing for humbuckers. It sounded great for the other guitars as well as I went through setting the presets up. But that's one that I definitely go to when I'm playing a humbucker guitar. And then I have the effects loop is going into that rather than after. And in the effects loop, I have the Jet Eternity delay and Revelation reverb. And for the beginning of that song, it's kind of an auto swell. And I had the reverb mix set just above 120 on a scale of 0 to 127. And that's the MIDI scale. So that gave me pretty close to an auto swell. I think you hear a tiny bit of pick attack. And if I ran that all the way up at 127, you wouldn't have heard any pick attack. But I did want to have just bring it a little bit off of that edge. And then I have the delay set up just for whatever was needed for the different snapshots. The simple EQ at the end bumps the low gain at 1 decibel, the holy mid-range, which is 777 hertz at 1.5 decibels. And then I've got the high gain bumping at 2.5 decibels just to kind of just crisp up the top end. Now that holy mid-range I found when I was first going through my HX Stomp and figuring out how to dial in tones. And before they put the super reverb in the mix, I had the twin reverb, and I own a super reverb. It's an older one that my dad had left me. And so I was always trying to get that twin reverb to do what my super reverb did. And so one of the things was just being able to play that and feeling like it's pretty close to what I have in the room, play the one in the room, go back to what I was doing there. And then I started adjusting, just figuring out what frequency kind of gave it more of that kind of a punch in the chest feeling. And so I got close somewhere in that mid 700s, and I thought we're worship players, so we'll go with 777 hertz. And lo and behold, it sounds great. So it's just a slight bump, just giving it a little bit more of a fullness. It still cuts. It's not a low frequency that is going to make it muddy. And so anyway, that's just a little bit of where that came from. The signal chain for the HX Stomp is the deluxe comp into the Diana drive. And I tried both options of the rack clones on the HX Stomp, and neither one of them were punchy enough for what I wanted to do. It didn't match what I was getting with that rack clone on my pedal board. But the Diana drive did, and I've got the gain set fairly low. It's typically how I run it. And then I have the volume just set to give me whatever boost I needed out of it. So anyway, that sounded great. And then we're going into the KWB drive. And then from there into the transistor tape delay, then the dynamic hall reverb. And I've got those dialed in to mimic what I was able to achieve with my jet pedals. And then we're going into a matchstick channel 1. And one thing I love about that amp is it really does capture the essence of the AC30 and the deluxe reverb. And it's not exactly the same, but feel-wise, I feel like it really did give me what I needed that I was able to get with those two amps. We're going into then a dual cab. It's the H30. Use the matchless H30. One side mic'd up with the dynamic 7, the other with the dynamic 57, and then the simple EQ at the end to bump the holy mid-range, as well as the low gain at 1 decibel and the high gain at 2.5. The signal chain for the Helix is similar with the deluxe comp into the Diana drive, into the KWB drive, and then the volume pedal. Now we're going into a stereo transistor tape delay, dynamic hall reverb, and then 2 matchstick channel 1s, each with their own cab. One mic'd up with the 7, one with the 57, and then the simple EQ with the same frequency bumps as the HX Stomp. The dual amp setup on the HX Stomp is going to be just what I used on the cover video. Now I'm offering that 2 different ways. I've got one with a reduced input, so it's reducing the volume going from the effects loop to the amps. And then I make that up on the little dot that comes out of the stereo amps. I normally run that at +3 decibels. I think I've got it at +5. And then I also bumped up the output volume on the simple EQ to match what the preset does that doesn't have any volume adjustment. And then I also have it just the standard where the effects loop doesn't have any reductions or bumps. And it is what it is, same as what I used on the recording. The dual amp preset on the Helix is similar to the song preset, except that I added a Timmy after the Diana drive. I added a vintage delay with a quarter note repeat after the volume. The other delay is set with the dotted eighth. And then I added an optical trem after the reverb. And then what I did too is the snapshots for the song-specific stuff is going to be SS1. That's going to cover the bridge. It's the quieter of the three options, and it's got a louder repeat. And then SS2 is going to be for the slide parts. That's kicking on the Diana drive. And then SS3 is going to be for that auto swell for the first part of the song. That dual amp setup on the Helix then also adds a crunch, a lead, a wash. And the crunch is the Timmy with the KWB drive. The lead is all three drives running at the same time. The wash is just like a nice ambient tone, but you can pick and you can hear the notes. And then I've got a volume swell / trem, and then just a swell. And you could use that the swell option for the beginning of the song if you preferred to swell it in on your own, or even play it and just let that note be heard, let the pick attack be heard. I'll be running through the presets on the Helix, both the song-specific one as well as the dual amp setup, and I'll be using the Epiphone Les Paul, the Gretsch, and that 66 custom Telecaster. All right, let's hear it. you found this one helpful. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. If you'd like the resources for this song, you'll find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. If there's any specific songs you'd like to see me cover in the next month or two, let me know in the comments. I've got a list started already, but I'd be happy to replace those songs with ones that you're interested in. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.